What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is doing well. The Boston Celtics lose for the seventh time this year. This one coming against the Oklahoma City Thunder, the final score being 127 to 123. The Celtics are now 26-7 on the season. My first impression after the game is the Thunder are the real deal, man. Just super impressed by what they have going on there. It's a young group of guys, but you can't tell by how poised they are. Shai is for sure a legit MVP candidate. They surround him with a bunch of guys who can crack you off the dribble, get downhill, get to the rim, get to the mid-range, shoot the three. That team could do it all on both ends of the floor. And that's really what the Celtics had trouble with tonight. You figured if there's any guard duo in the league who could hold Shai, it would be Drew and D White, but no, that wasn't the case at all. Shai got to where he wanted to go, the dribble drives, the kickouts, and not even just him. J-Dub was getting some, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, Josh Giddey, the list goes on and on. It's really impressive how they've drafted. They've drafted guys to play specific roles, right? 3 and D guys, but when it comes down to it, they're all skilled enough to put the ball on the floor, play the pick and roll. A couple years from now, this team is going to be scary. And that's saying something because right now they are already one of the best teams in the league and the second seed in the Western Conference. I know this is a Celtics post-game show, but OKC was just that good. I had to lead off with them. But coming at this from a Celtics perspective, I don't feel too terrible about this loss. You had 2 clunkers tonight from your starting 5, JB and Drew. I thought they were both honestly horrendous. For JB, we saw him fall back into some bad habits. He was shooting tough shots, shooting over multiple bodies, and when those weren't going, he moved out to the 3, and that wasn't falling either. I also thought the physicality aspect was strange for JB because he is built for physicality. We see him impose his will on teams every night, but OKC's surprising physicality for how young they are, I think that frustrated Jalen a bit, and we saw him get overly aggressive, get called for some offensive fouls. Jalen, though, I think this is more of a one-off. He's been on such a great run recently. I'm not going to stick on it and harp on it for too long, but Drew, man, I don't really know what's going on the defensive side of the ball. He's been phenomenal this year, but the offensive side, it just looks like he's out of rhythm. And tonight he had those 3 turnovers. I think they all came within 1 quarter. I know he's dealing with that right elbow sprain. That probably has something to do with it, but it got to the point tonight where Drew was actually benched in the 4th quarter for Peyton Pritchard. Shout out to Joe for making that decision and pushing that button. Pritchard checks in the 3rd quarter and stays in the rest of the game. I think Peyton was one of the main reasons this ended up being a 4-point game. I mean, down the stretch, he was making the gritty play, making the tough play, making the right play. He was an Energizer Bunny tonight. The Celtics find themselves down 18 with about 7 minutes to go, but if you've watched the Celtics the past few years, you could have predicted how this would turn out. By the 4th quarter, get down by double digits, turn up the energy, go on a little run, but by the end of the game, it's just too little too late. There was a game like this earlier this year in Philadelphia and just the recent game with Detroit, so that's why I'm a little bit conflicted on how to feel about this. There's nothing really awful to take away from this game, but there's nothing really great, but I can talk about some things that I did like at least a little bit. I really enjoyed watching Jason Tatum play basketball those last 5 minutes. It felt like he really wanted to put his mark on this game and come out with a win. And of course, I'm sure that's what he wants to do every game he plays, but it was the way in which he went about it. He took it personal and took the Shai matchup. We said if there was any backcourt that could hold Shai, it would be Drew and Derek White. But turns out the best person to guard him was Jason Tatum. He gave Shai his toughest matchup tonight. I think Tatum's length really bothered him. I'm sure going forward, when they do play again, we might see more of that matchup. And JT also took over on the offensive side of the ball, but he was doing it in a way in which I loved. He wasn't trying to force things. He wasn't jacking shots. He was getting to the rim, getting to the line, but making others around him better. I mean, if you just look through JT's 4th quarter log, assist, layup, dunk, gets to the line, another assist to D White, another assist to KP. I know he started a bit slow, but I did think this was a great Jason Tatum game. Finished with 30 points, 8 assists, and 13 rebounds. And I don't know how he made it this far without really talking about Kristaps Porzingis, because he also had a great game. KP had his way all night long, finished with 34 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, 66% from the field, and something we've been keeping an eye on here is that 3 ball, but he got it going tonight, 2 for 3 from there. I think what I liked most about his game tonight was the matchup. He's going up against the young unicorn, right? It's OG unicorn versus young unicorn in Chet, but KP showed why he's still the master. Because on paper, this should be someone who's able to guard Porzingis. It's like looking in the mirror for the two, both long, lanky, over 7 foot. And to be fair, I thought Chet did a decent job at times using his length to bother Porzingis. It's been really nice to see how much this team has been utilizing KP. It's nice that they're recognizing he's a mismatch 90% of the time down the floor, because, you know, compared to earlier in the year, he was getting pushed into the corner, waving for the ball, not getting it. Honestly, I think a lot of that has to do with JT. You know, to start the year, there was all that talk around Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis, but that JT KP 2-man game is really evolving. Keep an eye out for that. And I think it's that time we get to the quick hits. We'll start with something that I didn't like, just too much double big tonight, and more specifically, too much Luke Cornett. I just didn't think tonight was his game. You're playing against a team who's super young, super athletic, like I said before, kills you off the dribble, and Luke got exposed by that tonight. I feel like when this team plays the Thunder again, we won't see Luke on the floor. But something I did like tonight was Derek White. He had 19 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 7 for 12 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3. I mean, how much does this guy have to do to prove that he is an all-star? We saw the difference without him in the games tonight. He checks out there in the first quarter to go get stitches, but when he checks back in that second quarter, things change, right? The execution gets better, the D cranks up. His impact is felt every time that he's on the floor and is missed every time he is off the floor. I'm sure if you could give Joe Mazzulla a little bit of truth serum, he would be like, yeah, I'd play Derek White 48 minutes if I could. My last hit, let's do a little bit of Thunder talk. I just can't get over how good this team is for how young the roster is. You have some people out there that consider this team a legit contender. I'm not sure if I buy that just yet, because I don't know how many teams go from, or how many core groups go from not winning a first round series all the way to the finals. The next 2 or 3 years though, yeah, I'd probably bet on it. And the scary thing is you guys have all these picks that you've acquired, that Sam Presti has acquired, and some players on your team, some good young players that might not fit exactly how you want. You could package these things together when a star comes available, and you could, who knows who you could end up with. Or maybe that's not what you want to see. You want to see this thing play out and see the homegrown kids win it. I know Shea was traded there, but it was like when he was 21, so he's basically homegrown at this point. To really sum up this game though, the Celtics lose 127 to 123, have a terrible third quarter, give up 40 points, get killed off the dribble drive, and maybe a little bit unlucky from some unlikely guys hitting some threes. But I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. It's the best and easiest way to support. I'm here after every single Celtics game, all 82 plus the playoffs. I'm not going anywhere. I will talk to you guys Friday back at the TD Garden. Utah Jazz, who they've been streaking a little bit. January 5th. Peace.